According to Cosmopolitan, obesity is healthy. Oh, and something to do with wellness. Hello, I'm Adam McCarthy, aka Muscle Howard, and welcome back to Immersive Sports Science. Content not commentary, exercise science, not bro science. And today we'll be talking about the highly controversial magazine Cosmopolitan. But today we're going to be doing an exercise science review of Cosmopolitan's This Is Healthy campaign. Cosmo's This Is Healthy campaign is highly controversial because of the use of obese models on their front covers, therefore potentially portraying an unhealthy lifestyle. Now, quick disclaimer, this is not me shaming women or being anti-feminist in any way. If you look at any of my posts, I believe in humanism, and it is possible for a man to partake in a feminist debate. Yet again, as a man, I will not necessarily have those experiences necessary, and therefore what I can add to the argument will be slightly different or may not be as effective as if it was a woman.
Don't worry, I will stay in my lane, and I definitely won't do what Vulcan's representative to Earth did. Cosmopolitan is an American monthly fashion, entertainment, lifestyle and politics magazine aimed towards women. It had come in recent years to criticism, just like the rest of the fashion industry, of the use of painfully thin models, and the language used was promoting eating disorder. There has also been a multitude of research detailing that the sight of exceedingly thin looking women on the covers of magazines can potentially cause negative body image issues. The magazine was forced to change after low sales, pressure from feminist groups, and even upsetting Sir Mix-a-Lot.
I like big butts on a can of lie. No other brother can deny. Cosmo says you're fat. Well, I ain't down with that. Your curves are kicking in and sticking to the things in the magazines. They ain't miss a thing. Cosmo ain't got nothing upon my female selection. Baby's got back.
Cosmopolitan made a move in the late 2010s to appeal to a wider popular social media niche of body positivity and variations of it like body neutrality, body love and bopo, with publishing of Tess Holliday, a fat acceptance advocate, on the front cover. Cosmo's new stance has been criticised for potentially going full circle and promoting unhealthy behaviours by glorifying obesity. There has only been one published paper detailing a possible affect for the normalisation of obesity and the desire to become obese, inspired through the images online or in magazines and from other media outlets. However, there needs to be more research on a larger sample. However, there are some anecdotal cases, especially from the stuffers and gainers community, where they have been inspired to gain weight through media images. However, desiring and normalising obesity, although linked, are two separate understandings of reality. As some studies have shown, many people do not realise they are overweight and consider themselves perfectly healthy.
I told you she's actually obese.
We also have to consider that being fat is generally not considered socially desirable. The February 2021 issue of Cosmo focuses on wellness. These are similar, if not the same thing, as mindfulness and mental well-being. These terms are often used in contexts that encompass mental, physical and emotional health, broader, more eccentric aspects of life, such as happiness, with deep roots in positive psychology. In reality, there are two real understandings of wellness, one being purely related to the mental state of being, and the other to do with more physical health activities that promote mental health, or the entire state of health, etc. As you can see, due to the ambiguity in the terms, they are often used interchangeably, which can become deeply confusing.
Protein, yes, it is bad to have lots of protein, girl. Protein is like acid for your body and for your bones.
Amino acids.
Yeah, so you don't want that.
I don't even know where to start. It's absolute rubbish. It just goes against everything that we know about nutrition and nutrition science. Clearly, she hasn't got a brain in her head.
A major problem with the fitness and wellness industry is that there has been a lot of charlatans out there looking for quick ways of making buck off of potential pseudoscience.
And what I noticed is this magazine isn't judgmental about it. It's just all mixed in. Like, yeah, of course there's more intelligent stuff mixed in with the beauty and fashion because women are interested in more than just beauty and fashion.
And it is a piece about 11 women Very Different Bodies is what they've called it, but it's all about sort of like what health and exercise means to all us different people.
Like with any good magazine, the editor sets out what's in the February issue, and it kind of sets up something that is, in my opinion and from the science, is fundamentally wrong, but at the same time also right. How often have you looked in the mirror and picked apart your body part? Wished for more curves, for less curves? Wished for smaller or bigger boobs? Unfortunately, your mother and father left you with them. A perkier butt, smaller butt. Or don't do leg exercises. Wish you were stronger. Lift more weights or do more cardio. Thinner. What do we mean by that? If we mean slimmer, either lose weight if you're obese, or do more cardiovascular exercise and less weight in order to get leaner, or do more weight in order to get more muscularly defined. Thicker. Lift more or heavier weight faster. Or more bendy. Stretch more. If the answer is even once, it's too many times. And we will have to stop this January. I don't know why they gone redneck, but anyway. You can change if you need to, want to, or told to by a medical health professional. You should want to be exceptional. You should want to love yourself. You should want to have positive change in your life. Providing that you are comfortable with that you want change, you're comfortable with change, and that has to come with you accepting yourself. Accepting this is where I am, and this is possibly what I need to do in order to reach that change that would help me positively with my own health. From my opinion as a personal trainer, as a professional in health, all the editor is doing is just making excuses for their readers. But likewise, the editor, she makes a really good point. Not everyone is built the same. Not everyone is the same. Not everyone will be able to achieve those goals quicker. Everyone's muscle fibers are different, although she doesn't mention that, but she implies it. The problem is when we come up with exercise or fitness goals, we don't make them specific for the individual, specific for our own needs. We look at something and we base our own progress upon others rather than upon ourselves. Remember guys, when it comes to fitness, it's you v you. And they further this good health message, ironically with an advert from a company talking about how to create positive life change in January with New Year's resolutions. But likewise, when it comes to January on this particular time of the year, everyone says they're going to make a New Year's resolution. The problem is with these New Year's resolutions is that they are not necessarily attainable, achievable, and the goals aren't necessarily smarter goals or planned in any way, shape or form that are realistic to that individual in particular. Therefore, they are unattainable, they're not attainable, or the person doesn't have the motivation, the determination to stick with those goals, because let's face it, wanting health or wanting to get an 8-pack is not necessarily sexy in any way, shape or form. It takes hard work, it takes working smart, but you have to enjoy yourself. There's no point doing exercise or working on your mental health if you don't enjoy what you're doing. Happiness is a big benefactor as for you sticking to something. Cosmopolitan followed 11 individuals, possibly selected for them by the modelling agency, although they may have been selected for them by Gymshark and Adidas, because it just ended up being a giant advert for Gymshark and Adidas. And these 11 women were of all different body shapes, sizes, ethnicities, that kind of thing. They follow people who are influencers to women, or what they perceive as being influencers towards women. People with either a good story, or maybe they are an athlete wanting to achieve Olympic success. When it comes to social media influencers, there's a massive major problem with trying to promote these people, because often are big enough to influence someone, yet niche enough not to be known, or to even for people to care about. Even tops YouTubers like PewDiePie, who has 100 million subscribers, they're going to be people around the world who frankly have not got a clue who they are.
What some people perceive to be inspirational will be completely different to others. Some people will perceive fitspirations like this as deeply motivating or inspiring and helps with their determination, while others will find the opposite inspiring and find fitspirational images incredibly demeaning. Not only does it make them feel not positive about themselves, but also makes them feel like they are being hunted by society to meet a gold standard norm of fitness and wellness that may or may not seem unattainable, which can cause undue pressure and stress. Others will look on both of these examples nonchalantly, and it will have zero effect upon them. What is one woman's meat is another woman's poison. This is often referred to as toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is the idea that we should focus only on positive emotions and the positive aspects of life. It is the belief that if we ignore difficult emotions and the parts of our life that aren't working as well, we'll be much happier, as referred to in the science, but also by Daniela Scott in this very same issue. You can fight toxic positivity by acknowledging or recognizing that multiple complex emotions can exist simultaneously. There can be long-term effects of toxic positivity, including encouraging a person to remain silent about their struggles and feeling disconnected to the world, not in the same realities, therefore making them more depressed or anxious or more angry at the world. Isolation can fuel these emotions. Often trying to hide or deny feelings can lead to more stress and increased difficulty in avoiding upsetting emotions. Positivity draws on huge emotions within us, and going against that, both from the fat acceptance point of view, the body positivity, and the fitness aspects, going against what they perceive as being positive, can be seen as self-defeating and rather nasty. People will often try and defend these concepts of positivity, maybe because it has helped them in life, and fair enough if it has, but also because they are blinded by it, because of the strong emotions it evokes. Unblinking optimism and shutting the door on negative feeling doesn't always make them go away. If anything, it can exacerbate them.
And another major problem with this article is the idea that you either work on mental health or you work on your physical health. But in reality, you can work on both together. The first woman they talk about was someone called Callie Thorpe. Quite frankly, I have never heard of her, and I don't think many people outside of Cosmopolitan would have heard of her. However, online she seems very inspirational and influences quite a few people in terms of confidence. And what was Callie Thorpe was quite interesting. What she said was holding yourself accountable. And when you want to make a positive change, a positive influence in your life, you need to hold yourself accountable. You need to accept yourself. This is where I am. I know that I've done something wrong. I know that for whatever reason I've got this big. I will make a positive change in my life. Holding yourself accountable is the first step to acceptance. However, it should never, or in some cases should not be public. And she made the mistake. She did a blog initially trying to hold herself accountable, and that's not for everyone. Trying to make yourself accountable to strangers won't necessarily work. It can potentially have a negative effect upon yourself. Sometimes it's best to leave those emotions, feelings and thoughts with people you love, people you know, your family, your friends, your psychologist if you have one, and they are best left in private. Sometimes, not always. And personally for her, she tried everything to try and lose weight. Instead of focusing on healthy eating protocol and at living a healthy, active lifestyle, she focused on fad diets. And this is actually quite a common mistake that many people make when trying to lose weight. They focus on things claimed to give them fast results. Think about your scale. You lose weight if you eat less, and you gain weight if you eat more. That's okay for a while, but it's not a healthy way of actually losing weight, as per se, and doesn't necessarily allow you or give you the abilities to understand why you're eating or why you're eating a certain way. You're better off eating a balanced, healthy diet.
And I'm watching like clean eating videos and I'm just like, I'm not inspired by this. It's unattainable to me. And I really, really miss eggs. An egg sandwich, an omelette, egg with avocado on toast, poached egg, fried egg, scrambled egg.
What is a balanced, healthy diet? And a lot of people don't actually quite know what that is. What is moderation? So therefore you need to educate yourself. What is healthy eating? How can I eat healthy for some people? How can I be active? How can I exercise more? What's a great way of losing weight? Why is it a great way of losing weight? Is it a great way of losing weight for me? Is this eating protocol good for me? Everything should be individually tailored towards you. But the reason why people try and make themselves accountable publicly is to try and develop a sense of community. They will hold you account if it's a positive community. And you can also get negative community. Communities enables behaviours and potentially are either positive behaviours or negative behaviours. And one thing you find a lot in the body positivity movement, this is one thing Callie tries to emphasise, is the taking of the ownership of the word fat and try and make it seem less negative in your own mind. Yes, you are fat, but you can change that potentially.
I get that we don't want to fat shame, and I'm very supportive of that. But we also need to be able to look at the science and actually be honest with people and say, listen, I get it, that it's been tough for you and you've ended up in this position, right? You're a great person. Your identity is not that you are fat, right? You have an identity that you're a kind, compassionate individual. Yes, you also are carrying excess body fat at the moment. That's why I think the language we use, particularly the language we talk about to ourselves, is really, really important. Some people who say, I am fat, they're wrapping up their whole sense of identity in this idea of being fat. So actually, to lose their fat, in some ways, would be to lose part of their self.
However, looking at Callie, I don't think she wants to. I think she's comfortable in herself, which is, okay, go for it, girl, but you have to bear in mind, these are long-term negative medical effects of you being overweight. And that's a problem with the narrative that fat acceptance, health at every size, and certain bits of body positivity, which are all linking groups, have or tell each other, or tell themselves, should I say, regardless of what Dr. Joshua Woolbridge says.
First off, that Cosmopolitan cover, fantastic. It's amazing. It's brilliant to see encouraging and uplifting in a space that is normally very fat phobic and very stigmatizing to people of a higher weight. But unsurprisingly, the overwhelming response on social media has been vile. Your weight does not define your health. Being in the category of obesity on the BMI scale doesn't automatically mean you're unhealthy. We take pure statistics, and research has shown that over a third of those with a BMI between 30 and 40 are actually metabolically healthy. And no, you're not guaranteed to become unhealthy. Our health promoting behaviors, that being food, nutrition, exercise, sleep, social interaction, I know that one's been a killer during the pandemic, those are far more impactful on our health than our weight is. And those will all improve our health, irrespective as to whether or not our weight changes. These are facts. They're not debatable facts.
Yes, you can be metabolically healthy at the moment. As you get older, the chances of you being metabolically healthy at an obese state is highly unlikely. They will link to other comorbidities that are linked to, for instance, diabetes, and these comorbidities can lead to death, especially with the wink wink, you know what's going on around at the moment, the, as we like to call it in the YouTube world, the demonetization virus. You know, it's a bit of 19. And yes, is there a direct link to obesity and death? Yes, there actually is. Is it likely you'd be obese and die because you're obese? No. However, the linking factors surrounding it can cause, or shall I say do cause, death. And because of science, we can be statistically sure that these do kill you. They also followed a host of other sporting, health and fitness fanatics. The second obese individual they were following in this series of 11 women was Jasmyn, who claimed that she experiences fat phobia. Now, fat phobia doesn't exist, in my honest opinion. A phobia is an abnormal fear of something. I don't have a normal fear of fat. Fat on myself, or fat on anyone else for that matter, or if you are obese or fat. Even though discrimination to fat people doesn't exist, people do bully, people do shame people because they are fat for whatever reason. But that's because they are nasty people. We notice that with the other fat person, the other obese individual are utilised for this magazine. Bullying someone because they are fat, or fat shaming shall I say, because that's basically what it is, does not endeavour them to lose fat. In fact, it makes them do the opposite. It makes them feel unwelcome.
Literally, I get that comment all the time. Whenever I, that's just so funny. I literally get that exact comment all the time.
Anything relating towards wanting to lose weight, general perception of yourself, or anything to do questioning fat acceptance and bodditivity is considered fat phobia. So what's the point? Let's just all get fat then and eat and do whatever we want.
To this point in society, as you say, for some people, not everyone, where you can't have an honest conversation. I am against fat shaming. We can absolutely have compassion, full compassion, and no prejudice against people who are carrying excess body weight. There's some proponents in the body positivity movement go one step further and say, actually, it is completely healthy to carry lots of excess weight and you don't need to do anything about it. So who they are, let's love people for who they are. let's not call them lazy or lacking willpower or blame them. There are many complex reasons behind why people end up being the weight that they are. That is, there's really good science on that. It is not as simplistic as it's made out to be, but we still have a responsibility, I think, to say, listen, if you carry this much excess body fat, you are increasing the likelihood of, poor health outcomes from a variety of different conditions.
We mustn't forget there is something called concern trolling. Now, concern trolling is where you pretend to have concern about someone, but in reality, all you're doing is utilising that concern to attack people. And that's different to having genuine concern for society and people's health, which people do express upon fat people's Instagram and other social media.
I don't understand how we've managed to get ourselves so confused to a world where we can't criticize someone for their body weight, which again, I don't agree with, but we can't criticize someone with their body weight because it's going to hurt their feelings, but we can call morbidly obese well or healthy so that is going to set a trend for people down the line. Surely that's the more dangerous route.
I'm concerned about you, but I'm using it to attack you as a person, which is never good. And that, quite frankly, is fat shaming. You should never do that if you want to change someone's health ability. But only they should want change, not you wanting change for them. And when it comes to seeing fat phobia, some people have fat or being fat as part of their actual identity. So when they actually have to make that move to lose weight, they see that as attack upon them, attack upon their identity, and attack upon them inside society, which is what it's not. In the end, some people just can't take criticism. Facts over feelings. Now, Jasmyn is a yoga enthusiast, and yoga can be good for obese individuals. Anyone can do yoga, as quite rightly what she said. However, if you have quite a bit of a tub on your belly, it's going to be harder for you to be mobile and harder for you to be flexible because you've got something there blocking you. But you shouldn't use that as an excuse not to do yoga if you want to. Yoga is easy and highly beneficial for mobility and flexibility. However, just doing yoga, if you want to lose weight, it's unlikely for you to lose weight. You need to do exercise that is higher than 3.0 METs. So that's how we work out exertion levels. That would help you burn enough calories off. Yoga doesn't necessarily do that. However, it can still be beneficial. And likewise, for an obese person, just getting active and eating a healthy lifestyle will help you get to a healthy weight. And they discussed looking at certain disabled individuals, looking at Sophie Berner and also Ellie Simmons, the Paralympic swimmer. Now, Sophie's story is quite remarkable. She'd finished university, decided that she was going to do some heavy squats to celebrate, and dropped the weight on her and ended up breaking her own back, but therefore making herself paralysed. She is more or less stuck in a wheelchair at the moment, but it took her only a couple of weeks to get back to physical health and fitness to be able to go to her own graduation. For me, she is the most inspiring out of these list of women. And in literature, what we seems to be is this idea of this double personality of those who are disabled and the discrimination potentially they face in society. That being, oh, you're just benefit cheats, benefit frauds, or this idea of the super-cripple, the Paralympians, start of the superheroes, so to speak, the superhumans, doing all these amazing things and winning medals for their country. But those disabled individuals are only a microcosm of actual society, actual disabled people. Quite often, disabled people are actually some of the most unhealthiest in society and generally tend to be more overweight, generally tend to take part in less activity. And one of the reasons may be is that they have less activity for them to do, maybe because of their own disability, but they're unsure or unable to get to gyms and other health facilities or other sports to be able to do those sports, be able to do that activity. She stated that in order to get to a modicum fitness where she'll be able to go to a graduation, it would take her roughly around 4 to 6 weeks. She was able to get there to relative health of 2 weeks. She was able to do a rehabilitation faster. And you find that a lot with athletes. Athletes are able to rehab quicker, depending on the situation and the context and the individual. Because they're generally fit and healthy, they are stronger, their bodies work better. If you are less trained, you're less likely to rehab quicker. If you're overweight or obese, you have greater amount of inflammation, preventing you from rehabbing quicker. If you are sedentary, your muscles are going to be weak. As a result, it will take you longer to build that muscle up, to build the bone up. And when you are not exercising, you will get what we call atrophy. The muscles will get weaker, especially doing exercises that you may think, this is easy, I should be able to do more than this because I am strong, I am an athlete. And you find that frustration in injury is a high probability. And the risk of re-injury from people either being too precautious, or people in theory getting bored and not doing their exercising is also very high. And that boredom, you have to prevent boredom because that can prevent you rehabbing quicker. Now, for a lot of women, fashions and trends in exercise has changed over the years, from being skinny mini gym bunny to being booty builders and wanting to now lift weight, get big and, well, not necessarily big, but strong and defined all over to get the athletic or whatever look you're getting for. The booty builders have changed that perception to a certain degree. Weights is now cool, weights is sexy, weights are the in things to do. That Instagram generation of wanting to lift weights to get a bigger bum, a nicer bum, a perder bum, whatever, has introduced people to doing weights because that's what you must do to get big and strong. And now we're moving away into a generation of just wanting to lift weights and be strong all over. And I know the last thing I said was highly anecdotal, but I should imagine when State of Fitness 2021 comes out, that will be the in trend. And as shown with the rugby player, Vicky, that old school stereotypes that if you go do weights and suddenly you just end up bulking and look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is impossible because if that's the case, half the men in the gym have been trying to achieve that for the last 20 years. It's very hard to build that amount of muscle, especially building that amount of muscle naturally. Yes, it can be done, but you need to have a lifting protocol that enables, and a diet that enables you to gain that amount of weight. Just lifting weights and lifting a small amount of weights won't necessarily get you looking like that. And that stereotype that women will suddenly just balloon looking up a weight, it's just ridiculous. The idea that they'd suddenly become unsexy and a man beast is also just equally ridiculous. And now talking about Nelly London.
65 in Cosmo. You'll see me. So I'm in Cosmo. What?
Who is overfat, not fat, but overfat. She has a high amount of fat in her body, even though she is a fitness model. There's only a small percentage of people who can actually achieve that potential. And there might be a number of reasons why. She might have lymphedema, which I find highly doubtful. It could be that's just her genetics, or it could be that she's trying to become thick with 5 C's and trying to make her ass as big as possible, or trying to give that kind of voluptuous look that is popular among some women.
So basically, I was talking to her about the whole Gymshark thing and how that photo on Gymshark blew up a little bit, and I got like endlessly trolled and just awful comments getting out there basically. And we were talking about it, and I said, I got an influx of messages about my body. People said, you're unhealthy, your arteries are clogged, or that's not normal, you should see a surgeon. Even though I know it's not true, it was hard to read. And that's what I'm written down as saying, and then it goes on to like what kind of exercise I enjoy. But basically, my point from saying that was not that it wasn't true, like those things aren't true, so it was really difficult to read. Like, even if those things were true, even if that's an observation that someone made about me, it doesn't give them a right to troll and abuse and pass judgment on a body, essentially.
But at the same time, it's okay to look at someone and have that narcissistic, because we all are narcissistic in some way, shape or form. We love feedback. It's okay to want or desire that, but at the same time, you need something more substantial than that. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was working in the gym once, I remember looking over into the weight section the other side, and there was one girl there, just casually looking around in case no one was looking, and then just literally trying to check out her abs, and then turn around, make sure no one's looking again for checking out in the mirror, trying to check herself out. Everyone does it. It's okay to look at yourself and think, yeah, that could be improved, or that could not improve. Where the problem lies is when that becomes an obsession, when that gives you anxieties. It's an interesting thing about the sports stars they show. Generally, when you do sport, you're more aware than the average person about your weight. And you shouldn't be scared if you find yourself weighing yourself every day, because that is pretty much normal for an athlete. Being lighter is actually better for performance, and in the case of the boxer, they need to know their weights because they need to meet weight categories. The problem lies in when you take that too far.
11 women took to Cosmopolitan to prove that wellness does not come in one size. As I go through the article, I see, yeah, athlete. Yeah, athlete. Athletes that I admire. And then, oh, that's an obese person. And another one. No, I'm not saying you can't be obese and happy. I'm not saying you can't be obese and cultivate a very strong following. But what I am saying is, this isn't really what we should be doing. People aren't really obese just because they like to eat, or they're gluttonous, or they're lazy. There are, in most cases, lack of education, lack of support, psychological issues, eating disorders, a whole myriad of things that make it incredibly hard for someone to just lose weight. We shouldn't really be putting this is healthy with an obese person, irrespective of how they feel about it. Because objectively speaking, obesity isn't healthy. And it's something that, as a society, we shouldn't be shaming people, by all means, but we shouldn't be doing this polar opposite of glorifying it. Type 2 diabetes, which will increase your chances of stroke, heart attack, cardiovascular disease, which are quite literally 3 of the top ways that people die, used to be called adult onset diabetes. The reason it's not called adult onset diabetes anymore is because youngsters, teenagers, and children are now developing it. To summarize, obesity is very complex, albeit having a simple solution. And I also completely agree with the sentiment that fit people come in many shapes and sizes, and you don't have to conform to anyone's idealism of what a fit person should look like. As a society, as humanity, we should all be looking to remain within a realm of something that is truly objectively healthy.
A picture of an obese person over the title "This is healthy," many people will look on the physical aspects, not necessarily the mental aspect. But at the same time, when we compare the two together, would you consider this person to be healthy on the left or the person on the right? This is because no one would bat an eyelid if Morgan Lake was on the front cover of Cosmopolitan, because hypothetically she's not promoting or glorifying obesity, she's promoting what many people would consider fit and healthy. In the fitness sphere in the UK, we've had massive focus upon physical fitness, but not on mental fitness or mental health. Balance has to be there, and you can't necessarily work one or the other. You need to work on both, but you need to work on both in their relevant amount.
Now you may be wondering why there aren't that many male body positive people or models. This is a widely held belief. It may or may not represent reality, but generally the opinions about in society, and these aren't necessarily my own opinion, men are meant to be not weak, and showing body positivity is a weakness, and this potential idea is linked to the concept of toxic masculinity. What they are trying to do, these companies, is sell a pipe dream. In fact, in selling body positivity in Cosmopolitan is selling a pipe dream to somebody you like seeing themselves on the cover, or someone who looks like them. That is a pipe dream that they are cashing in. Body perception or body image issues do exist in men, often not looking big enough. Body dysmorphia in that extent has increased. But you could also state that there is not a desire for body positivity amongst men, or there may be a desire for both. I want the objectivity of the 8-pack guy, the slim mannequin, for instance. But at the same time, I'll follow leaders and that represent me or represent the ideas I want to see in the world. People who I think will look up, and even if they're body positivity and you agree with body positivity, then thus be it. Sont alivate, it's horses for courses. The difference is that women over the years have faced discrimination in some shape or form or another, usually by men. Yes, I'm sorry about that, ladies. I want to apologise for all the men's behalf here.
All they can print is that much text. That must be like 1 minute worth of conversation, so it must be so difficult to condense that conversation down.
Now, if you notice it, and they might have done this by complete accident or not realised, but when we look at the actual stories, and it might also be because they've only got a certain number of words and they've got to fit it in a certain amount of space, but those who are body positive in terms of obese generally have the larger spread when compared to the other more athletic individuals. Now, there was some suggestions that this may have broke the editorial code. I'm no law expert, but when we look at the UK editorial code, it doesn't appear to have done this. Mainly because this is healthy, and when people focus upon it, because they usually focus upon physical fitness, it's actually slightly misleading. The subtext underneath it supports that it's to do with mental well-being and mental health as well. Therefore, they're not potentially claiming something that is actually inaccurate. Plus, these posters were not the main front cover of the UK Cosmopolitan magazine. However, you can see how this could be potentially misleading to a person who's just literally walking past it and may just get a glimpse of it. Not only this, they could not help themselves but utilize scandalized style titles. In my opinion, the use of the obese models plus the scandalous titles was to try and shock people into buying the magazine. Publications are enhanced with images. However, the use of clip art style for This Is Healthy section, although may seem to become more approachable and more appealing, more lighter to the audience, I suppose, but to me it seems tacky for what is otherwise a very professionally written and photographed work. The photographs, in my opinion, although look pretty with the garish backgrounds, they did not emphasize to what their sporting or wellness endeavors entails, with the exception of Jasmyn and maybe a couple of others. In terms of Callie herself, she's a confidence influencer, so therefore her standing confidently will represent that. And in terms of Nelly, they tried to mimic the Gymshark Instagram post that got her online famous in the first place. Basically, it can be argued that there's not enough action within the shots themselves. Thus, this would have enhanced the text further with relevant visuals. In short, the Cosmopolitan magazine is a scatterpoint of actual information combined with articles and a load of crap thrown in between. Cosmo has one overarching theme for the actual issue, but other than that, it's consistently inconsistent, which for their case is actually pretty good. The articles themselves are well placed, well written, although the actual article to do with This Is Healthy is rather bland and frankly quite vague. Which was a shame, because the article about alcohol was extremely well written, especially for a lay audience. The articles themselves were balanced either within the actual article himself or balanced by other articles that were counter-positioned to that article in particular. In terms of what they mean by health and fitness, they didn't define what they meant by wellness, so it could mean anything to do with mental health, or it could mean just working out, or it could actually be related to actual health itself, not just what you think health is, objectively.
All in all, I give the UK Cosmopolitan February issue a KSA score of
91.63, and This Is Healthy 86.55.
Y'all ready for this?